Good afternoon. So I'm going to share with you 10 facts about Ukraine and a personal story about the nation. I've spent 20 days there. So, the first 10 facts that I found on Ukrainian Institute of America. I'll be sure to link this in the video description. Fact number 1. Russia excluded, Ukraine is the continent's largest country, as in the continent of Europe, at 233,602 square miles. As you can see that it borders Russia, Belarus, Poland, Romania, Moldova. I believe that Slovakia and Hungary are there as well. Second fact, it's not the Ukraine. The Ukraine is incorrect both grammatically and politically. The use of the article relates to the time before independence in 91. Yes, Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union for 69 years. It was more of an indentured servitude. It was not a good thing for Ukraine. It was 69 years of basically subjugation, and these facts will also speak about that as well. 3. Ukraine was once known as the breadbasket of Europe. Owing to its largely agricultural industry, 25% of black soil worldwide is found in Ukraine. This title caused the country immense hardship when it became responsible for feeding the Soviet Union under Stalin, meaning the entire Soviet Union. All those countries I listed, plus other countries like Latvia and Lithuania that aren't on this map, they were in charge of feeding the entire Soviet Union. It's multiple countries now. And there was a famine from 1932 and 1933, and it killed as many as 7.5 million Ukrainians because all their food was basically being stolen and shipped to the rest of the Soviet Union. And Stalin forcibly did that to keep these people in check. And by today's standards, 25 countries, including Australia and Canada, as well as Ukraine, considered that to be a mass genocide that was perpetrated by the Soviet Union on its own people. Communism is bad. 4. Chernobyl is the site of the world's worst nuclear power plant disaster. The location in northern Ukraine is now the center of the Chernobyl exclusion zone established by the USSR soon after the accident in '86. Radiation levels there remain still highly dangerous. Yes, but in the town of Pripyat, that is next to the reactor, the power plant, you can actually go there now because there's still pockets of radiation, but mostly it is dispersed. So you can look around and tour around. And what's not spoken about is that the actual plant where the disaster happened still operated for 15 or 20 years after the disaster because it was the main power plant that gave most of the power to that region of Ukraine, which was a lot of people and a lot of states. All these different colors are basically states. They're all different regions of Ukraine, and that power plant was responsible for powering most of them. Number 5. Ukraine is the birthplace of the biggest plane ever built. It is called an Antonov, and it can carry 706 US tons. That is multiple full-size main battle tanks. Or, like a train. Number 6. After the breakup of the Soviet Union, Ukraine inherited the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world. But in '94, Ukraine agreed to destroy the weapons and join the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. The leader of Ukraine, Russia, Britain, and the United States signed a memorandum to provide Ukraine with security assistance in connection with its assets to the NPT, which unfortunately, when Ukraine signed that, they had no idea that they'd be getting screwed with security as much as they have. as most of you know in recent history, Russia has been attacking Ukraine, and they also stole the land of Crimea from Ukraine by force. And if Ukraine had still had nuclear weapons as a deterrent, I doubt Russia would still be trying to fold them back into Russia at this point. Number 7. The Ukrainian people as a nation appeared at the time of Kievan Rus. I'm going to mispronounce a lot of these names because they're in Ukrainian/Russian. The major Slavic state on the grounds of the modern Ukraine, with Kiev as its capital, in the 9th century. Now, for context, Moscow was found more than 200 years later, in 1147. And like I spoke about earlier, how we say Kiev, that's how Russians would say it. How Ukrainians say it is Kiev. So if you pronounce Kiev to a Ukrainian, or when you're in the country, it is very improper and impolite, and it's not being very politically aware. 9. Ukraine is the national language of Ukraine. Ukrainian, the language, is similar to the Slavic dialects of Poland and the Czech Republic than it is to Russian. It is its own language, and there's also been a push by the government to go less bilingual and to have all the students, I believe they go for 13 years just like Europe, so from kindergarten until 19, but they want all the schools to only teach in Ukrainian and not Russian and Ukrainian because they're their own nation and they want to just use their own language. 10. Carol of the Bells, a Christmas song people around the world hear and sing yearly. Originally, what was a Ukrainian, it was written by a Ukrainian composer, Moloka Lukovic and Peter J. Wilhosky. Sorry I didn't pronounce your names correctly. And it was performed by the Ukrainian National Chorus at Carnegie Hall in 1922. Hope you guys enjoy these facts. So me personally, I've been to Ukraine, spent 20 days there. The first time I went there, I spent a week in Kiev with some friends that I had met in Germany when I was at a missionary training school that I cannot recommend. But the friends that I met, they showed me around Kiev. They showed me a couple of the major monuments, especially the Friendship Arch, which, not really a Friendship Arch. It was given to Ukraine by Russia, and when Russia was very aggressive and stole Crimea from Ukraine and also invaded in the east and have still been warring with them, at some point in time there was a rogue artist that scaled the arch and painted a humongous crack through the arch just right after Russia attacked Ukraine. Because as some of you know, Russia is still very imperialistic, and they have been trying to rebuild the Soviet Union since they lost it. When Ukraine decided to leave the Soviet Union, it was a huge hit agriculturally and militarily to Russia, because Ukraine has a lot of people, and they also have, as you can see, seaports with access to the ocean that aren't frozen all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little history lesson about Ukraine and some of my personal experiences about it. This is the nation that I feel called to helping to help the most, and Humanitarian Exchange will be setting up a Eastern European base in Ukraine so we can focus on giving humanitarian aid as well as spiritual aid to Ukraine, and then from Ukraine the goal is to service all of Eastern Europe. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you.